As a teacher or tutor, we're always wondering how can we hold our students accountable for their work? Stay tuned, we have some tips for you.
It's time for Tip Tuesdays with Dr. Shanna Grant.
So as a part of my research, what I did was we did this thing called self-regulated learning that we researched to see how we can help students to be a little bit of accountable for their school work or just, in general for life. And so self-regulated learning is kind of what it sounds like, self-regulated. So the students will have a little bit of roles to play in their own schooling, right? And so let's say, for instance, you are teaching a new topic, or just in general, you have your class for the semester, or you have your child at home and you want to help them to really check themselves to see if they learned anything, or to kind of like backtrack and just keep checking as they go to make sure that they're mastering the content. Self-regulated learning is one of the ways to do that. Now, what is self-regulated learning? So essentially, there are three phases of self-regulation. And so essentially, this is where students are going to do cycles. These three stages is going to take them through a cycle for them to see, okay, have you accomplished whatever it is that you wanted to, or have you learned whatever it is that you wanted to? And so in the first phase of the self-regulation, students will set goals, right? And so this could be any goal. It could be a small goal, it could be a large goal. It's really totally dependent on the student. And so essentially they'll set a goal. So since we just started our SAT prep course, let's say we are talking to SAT students, right? So a goal that they would set is, okay, I would like to achieve a 600 or 800. Of course, it depends on the student. I would like to set a goal of, let's go in the middle, 700 on the SAT. Okay, and so that's the big goal. Now, they could also set small goals in between where they'll say, okay, I'll have to make sure I do my SAT practice exams, right? Or I have to make sure I study my errors. So these are the type of things they're setting their goals, right? And so in order to really make sure that you're achieving these goals, there's some different things that you have to set in place, right? So you have your self-regulation first phase where they're setting goals. Now, in the next phase, what they're going to do is they're going to now set the plans or outline whatever it is that they're going to do to achieve these goals. So let's say, for instance, they said they want to get a 700. Now, 700 means that you're going to really have to study, right? A lot. Okay. And so what this means is, okay, I am going to, let's say I'm a student, I want to get a 700. This means I am going to, let's say, study twice per week. Nah, that's not going to get you a 700. Maybe study twice per day for, we say 2 to 3 hours. So you want to make sure that you are studying twice per day for 2 to 3 hours every day of the week, or you could say 5 days of the week, right? So this is one thing that they're going to say, okay, I'm going to do this. Or they could say, okay, I'm going to study all of my errors. So of course, in the second phase, you're outlining what exactly it is that you're going to do, or the students are going to outline what they're going to do to achieve, right? To achieve the goal that they set initially. Okay, now in the third phase, what we're going to do is now try to see we're going to analyze to see, are we able to accomplish the goals that we set, or did we accomplish the goals that we set? So remember, the big goal is the 700 on the SAT. So you wouldn't wait, or the student wouldn't wait until the big goal is there. Now, of course, the big goal is the 700. So you want to make sure, of course, their middle goal is there. So if you're taking practice exams, or if the student is taking practice exams and they're realizing that, hey, my scores are nowhere near 700, right? This kind of depicts what's going to happen on the actual exam. And so what this means is the student will have to adjust, right? Adjust their study habits or adjust whatever it is that they did in the first 2 weeks. And this is why we say students are going to be consistently checking themselves. It's a cycle that they're going to be consistently doing until they achieve their goals, right? And so let's say they take the first practice exam. They studied for 2 to 3 hours, but they did not get the desired score, right? They now need to change whatever they had outlined that they needed to do or that they were going to do. So they said they were going to study for 2 to 3 hours. So we first want to see, did you really study for 2 to 3 hours, right? If they did not, then they really need to do it for the next checkpoint, right? Let's say in the next 2 weeks, they're going to take another practice exam. And so then if that didn't work, or if they did do that, now they need to increase the study hours, right? Or they need to incorporate other types of studying, right? So maybe we need to do more practice exams in between. So we can't wait every 2 weeks. We need to do practice exams every week. Or they may determine that, okay, I need to study my errors every day. I need to also go in and reread or rewatch videos. So you need to now change your study habits or change your study techniques, because what you did before is not getting you the result that you wanted. Okay, now of course, if the student got to the third phase where they're checking to see, okay, did I got to the goal, or am I close to the goal? And they saw that they were indeed close to the goal, well, that means you will continue to do whatever it is that you were doing before so that you can continue to achieve your goals. Okay, and so if you wanted to think about it in terms of if a student is in a class, right? I know when I used to start classes, I used to say, I want an A. So in order to get an A, my first goal would be an A in the class, right? And then my mini goals would be, well, then that means I might need to get A on all the exams, right? Or all the quizzes and the exams. And so this means I need to do all my practice exams or my practice homework questions. I need to check my answers and those type of things. And so of course, if I get to the first exam, I'm studying, let's say I'm doing all the odd questions. Back in the day, that's what we used to do. In the back of the book, we have the answers. And so let's say I'm doing all the odd questions. And then I got to the first exam. I did all the odd questions, to study, to prepare for the first exam. And I'm getting them correct. And then what? I didn't get an A on the first exam. Well, this means that doing only the odd problems are not enough. And this means that I will now need to adjust my studying. So I need to regulate myself a little bit differently, right? And so I'll now maybe do all the questions, right? Because I want an A on all my exams. And so I keep doing this and adjusting until I'm getting A's on all my exams. And so self-regulation is very important for students, even if you're tutoring, or you're just teaching, or if you're at home. Students can incorporate self-regulation in their entire lives. And it will be a plus if teachers, tutors, or just parents in general were able to embed self-regulation into your course design or your lesson plan so that students are self-regulated and they don't know it. But self-regulation is a plus for anyone who is trying to tutor or teach, especially math, so that students can check themselves to know, okay, I'm on the right track to get the goal that I desire, or I need to change up a little bit to make sure I'm getting what I need.